to a couple other interesting teams. Two other teams from New York in the NFL, the Giants and the Jets. Both of these two teams are above 500. Giants are 4-1. The Jets are 3-2. They both are coming off major wins over the weekend. But the question is, which one of these New York football teams do I and should you believe in a little bit more? Because that's the natural question. And again, had you set whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever betting service that you're operating with, if they were to set at the beginning of the season, hey, by week 5, both New York football teams would be above 500, even if they set it to plus 1,000, I don't even think anyone would bite on that potential bet. And yet here we are. Giants at 4-1, Jets at 3-2, and the Giants are coming off a win against the Green Bay Packers, not at Lambeau Field, but in London. And again, don't call them Big Blue, call them Mean Green. This team is playing extremely well. Again, they trailed 17-3 against the Packers, and they held Aaron Rodgers and the offense to 0 points in the second half. They closed out the game on a 24-5 run, and really it was 24-3 run if their punter doesn't commit a smart, but granted intentional safety, just to run off more time off the clock. We saw the Rams and McVay do that against the Atlanta Falcons earlier this year. So the only loss for the Giants right now is against the Cowboys. And what we're starting to see, I just talked about them, it's not looking like that bad of a loss, right? It's really not looking like that bad of a loss right now. They've got wins at Tennessee, against the Panthers, against the Bears, and now the Packers in London. And meanwhile, you have the Giants playing well. Meanwhile, you have the Jets at 3-2. They just smacked the Tua-less Dolphins 40-17. I actually like what I'm seeing from the New York Jets, surprisingly. I'm happy Zach Wilson is back and healthy. Robert Saleh is finally starting to establish and instill his defensive blueprint and approach and influence onto this team. Sauce Gardner, shout out to him, finally collected an interception. He's healthy. So, again, Robert Saleh, people question the hiring decision for him to be the head coach. He was, of course, the defensive coordinator under Kyle Shanahan when the 49ers reached the Super Bowl in 2019. And again, say what you want about his X's and O's, but he's getting the players to buy in. And again, who would have thought at the start of this year that both of these teams would be over 500? Again, you just wouldn't have assumed that these two teams not only would be above 500, but are competently run franchises, and they're winning franchises. And it's not hyperbolic to say that. They really are. Now, the question is, which one do I think is more sustainable? Which team do I buy into a little bit more? And while I just complimented the New York Jets and what they've been able to do, again, I'm going to pump the brakes on their win against the Dolphins because obviously Tua wasn't there. Teddy Bridgewater barely played. He was out due to sustained an injury early in the game. So they had their third string, Skylar Thompson, in there for the majority of the game. Not the biggest test for them, but at the same time, a win's a win. A win's a win, and it was dominant. I love the performance. Breece Hall, their running back, was tremendous again. But I think that when I look at the Giants and the Jets, I have to buy into the Giants a little bit more. And listen, we've ridiculed, we've chastised the NFC East, and I'm not absolving myself included. We called them the NFC least, and we've looked down upon this division as just a repulsive division. And yet, right now, they're the winningest division in football right now. The NFC East has a combined 14 wins. The next closest, the AFC East with 12, and the AFC West with 10. So the common theme is not just the wins, but the quality of their defense, the defenses across the board in this division have been elite. We're seeing it across the board. And that's the reason why I buy into the Giants a little bit more is their defense this year has been really, really good, surprisingly good. It's top 10 against the pass. They're holding opposing quarterbacks under 200 yards per game, which means they're applying pressure the other way, which is a great stat. Again, the fact that, yes, they're not the best run defense, but they can contain opposing quarterbacks through the air. That's what we're seeing from the Giants right now. So their defense is playing exceptionally well. And I think that the path moving forward for the Giants is just more sustainable than the Jets, because the Jets playing in the AFC, it's loaded. The AFC is going to cannibalize one another. With the Giants right now, the rest of their schedule isn't that daunting. And the way that the NFC West has kind of been eating on itself, the Rams don't look quite as strong and shaky. The Bucs are winning, but not quite as dominantly. And who knows? Again, the pace that the Giants are on, they might be able to collect one of those wild card spots. And I do buy into, again, their defense a little bit more. Dexter Lawrence is looking like the Dexter Lawrence of Clemson. Kayvon Thibodeau, who many draft scouts believed that Kayvon Thibodeau was actually the most talented player entering this draft. He's playing really well for the Giants now. He's back in the fold. Xavier McKinney, you've got Julian Love, the two safeties that are playing at a high level. So I really like what the Giants are doing. I think you combine the defense with the resurgence of Saquon Barkley. He's healthy. He's running the ball effectively. The O-line is actually playing moderately low. They've solved their left tackle. And it seems like they finally have figured out the head coach in Brian Dable. And Brian's doing a tremendous job with them. He is extracting the absolute most out of Daniel Jones and this entire team. And they're playing well because of it. And their schedule, again, isn't that difficult moving forward. So right now, I love what I'm seeing from the Jets. Would love to see them continue to win. But I'm going to go with the Giants as the team that moving forward, I buy a little bit more.